time for a review of what's making the headlines in the papers this morning. Let's bring in a RISE analyst, Dr. Constance Ikoku. Good morning, Constance.
Good morning, Charles. Good to see you this morning.
Good to see
you too.
Welcome
back from the weekend.
How was yours?
It was good. I attended a friend's birthday party. A couple of parties, actually.
Wow.
So
That must have been a loaded weekend.
It was good. Yolanda, we were talking earlier. You said
yes,
it was just there.
It really was. Hopefully next week will be like yours.
Right. You need some action, some movement.
Exactly.
Okay, to look at the papers with us this morning, we have Dr. Iyubosa Owogarian. He is the editor Nation's Capital of This Day newspaper. Hello there and welcome to the program. We'll begin with This Day. There we have this morning, Anyanwu postpones PDP NEC after Wike pulled out of agreement with governors. The National Executive Committee meeting was scheduled for tomorrow and Board of Trustees meeting was supposed to hold today ahead of NEC. But all has changed now with National Secretary Samuel Anyanwu claiming this is to allow the Bukola Saraki-led committee finalize its reconciliation assignment. It reported that the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has accused Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State of instigating others, including Peter Amba of Enugu State, to dump the peace agreement with him. Dr. Wogiaran, any insight into the news behind this headline and what this means for the party, the People's Democratic Party?
Yeah, thank you. But I think it is the dishonesty and the lack of trust, coupled with the fact that the stakeholders within the Democratic Party have refused to follow their constitution, and by extension, the recent Supreme Court judgment. I'm sure you will recall that some time ago, the Senator Anyanwu, the current National Secretary of the party, went to court. And the matter got to the Supreme Court, and his prayer was that as a latest National Secretary of the party, and his tension can only be terminated at the National Convention, and that he remained the National Secretary of the party. The Supreme Court granted that order. So one would have expected that the stakeholders within the People's Democratic Party will obey that court order. But that has not been the case. And because virtually all of them within the party are struggling for the soul of the People's Democratic Party, so there's lack of trust among them. And they are not honest among themselves. I mean, they are not honest with themselves. And that is why you keep on having this crisis within the People's Democratic Party. Just a few days ago, I think the governor also met in Lagos. Some governor, Makinde, the governor of Enugu State, the governor of Bayelsa State, they all met in Lagos. And they resolved certain issues and agreed to set up a committee headed by Bukola Saraki, to lead the reconciliation so that they can put the matters behind them and move forward. But unfortunately, before the Saraki committee even started working, there was another issue that came up. And I'm sure that's what informed the Minister of Federal Capital Territory statement yesterday, that he was pulling out from the agreement. But like I said, I think they are very dishonest. They don't trust themselves. And they don't even obey, the constitutions of their party. I think that is where they find themselves today, and it's very unfortunate. And from the look of things, the party might be in a serious crisis even before staying, or after the 2027 general elections. So it's quite unfortunate.
Yeah, so we've not heard the last of that. Let's move on to Daily Independent. Tinubu's mining reforms generated $800 million foreign investment, according to the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Mr. Dele Alake. He also reviewed the sector generated over 38 billion naira revenue in 2024 compared to 6 billion naira in the previous year. In addition, he mentioned a $600 million lithium processing plant near the Kaduna-Niger border to be commissioned this quarter. Then another $200 million lithium refinery on the outskirts of Abuja nearing completion, and 2 additional plants in Nasarawa State slated for commissioning before Q3 2025. There's a lot going on, obviously, in the mining sector. More money accompanied by We know insecurity, illegal activities, and international scramble for a piece of the cake. Your take on the story, Dr. Wogarian?
Yeah, before now, we thought the mining industry was just for people who were involved in illegal mining. I think in the last 2 years, we've seen effort by Alaki, the minister of that ministry, to turn everything around. And I think we're beginning to see the dividend of his hard work. And I want to believe that the figure that is pushing out are real, and if they are real, it means that we are making headway in that sector, so that we don't just rely on oil industry, to grow our economy, to grow our GDP. I mean GDP, yeah. So I think it's a good effort, and I'm sure they want to double their effort so that we begin to have real money from that sector. So it will help grow our economy. It will also help to execute so many projects that we are currently planning to do in the nation.
All right, we'll be watching that for you. Onto the Guardian newspaper. Despite 7 trillion naira subsidy savings, states fail to cushion hardship, hunger. So the Guardian is looking at 2 years post a fuel subsidy removal. How have we done? Charles, would like to bring you in here. It hasn't exactly panned out as expected. Yes, we have more savings, but we also know that at the same time, inflation has wiped out the value of the naira, and states haven't been exactly able to change their spending habits. That's what the story is talking about.
Absolutely. There's a very big difference between the figures that we see on paper and what translates into the reality on ground. Like Nigerians say, how does that affect the price of Gari in the market? So we have the humongous savings in terms of the fuel subsidy removal. However, it also happens that 70,000 naira minimum wage is the money somebody can actually spend on one shopping trip. And whatever it is you get will not be able to take you through the week. The prices of petrol still very high. The survival index of Nigerians going down, the standard of living going down, and of course Nigerians groaning under the weight of biting poverty. Well, the buck has been shifted to the states, but we all know that whatever in terms of economic creativity that is done, it will not translate into reality as long as corruption is allowed to thrive. There are lots of drain pipes right from the federal level all the way down to the states. So whatever is trickling down is actually being siphoned into private pockets. And how then can that actually translate into a better life for Nigerians? So at the end of the day, we're just running around in circles. The fuel subsidy, yes, well-intentioned it is, but the removal has actually wreaked untold hardship on Nigerians. So at the end of the day, no benefit eventually.
All right, Daily Sun, food security threatened as terrorists kill over 900 farmers, displace thousands. Farms now war zones. The report says from late 2023 to mid-2025, at least 920 farmers and villagers have been reportedly murdered by insurgents as tough wars centered around food and water persists. We have Borno, Benue, Plateau, Niger, and more states that are affected. And when I was reading this report, Yolanda, what came to my mind was this is an emergency. We've known that we have this crisis, but when they actually give you a statistics of 920 farmers murdered in their farms, I don't know, I don't have words for it.
I understand, and that's a very huge number of farmers to lose. This affects the stability of the agriculture. You cannot deny that. This violence will definitely disrupt the production, which leads to food shortages and increased prices of what is there already. Also, the security concerns that we've been speaking about for weeks. The situation talks more, about how we need to heighten our security in the nation when it comes to, you know, acts of terrorism. But also there's another angle that we haven't looked at as well. These killings of over 900 farmers also calls for a humanitarian response. And I'd like to pose the question, is this what Nigeria needs again? More humanitarian response to the country where we are suffering already in various ways. Yes, we need the hand that helps, but as well, it's in a way, it's kind of a hand that takes.
Now, when they say 900 farmers, I mean, that's being very conservative with the
922,
figures.
Absolutely.
Because, okay, thank God they say at least, because I'm sure it's far much more than that. I mean, probably 100% difference as far as other figures are concerned, because these killings are going on daily. Now, the question is, the owners of the cattle, I believe, are Nigerians. The herdsmen, of course, are not the owners of those animals, and then the killer herdsmen too, not necessarily cattle rearers, but actually hiding under the guise, maybe following the cattle rearers around. So those in the positions of power and influence who are actually fomenting these killings, what exactly is the benefit? Now, our security services, I know for sure, are not that daft. They know exactly what's going on. They know who is behind this, but then naming and shaming, well, that's a different thing altogether. So there is high-level security collusion in this matter, and until we have enough political will to expose the actors behind these killings, well, I'm sure the nation, as is rightly said here, is actually facing a food crisis. But then of what benefit will that be in the long run?
That's right.
Again, it's an emergency.
Yes.
Let's stay with Daily Sun. At the right-hand bottom there, Enugu Reps Caucus scores Governor Mbas midterm performance high. Apparently, the governor is marking his 2 years in office, and the Enugu State federal lawmakers say he's done fairly well in infrastructure, completing abandoned projects, reviving dead state-owned enterprises, and investing in education, healthcare, and agriculture. Well, moving on to New Telegraph this morning. There we have refreshing news, actually. Lagos named world's fastest growing tech city in 2025 by Netherlands-based research firm Dealroom.co, ahead of Istanbul, Turkey, and Pune, India. Lagos is home to 5 unicorns, namely we have InterSwitch, Flutterwave, Jumia, Opay, and MoneyPoint. The Nigerian tech ecosystem is expanding further, says this article. Dr. Wogiara, I mean, like I said earlier, very refreshing news. While the politicians are bickering over non-entities, you know, the private sector is moving on, although we know that they are being hampered here and there due to a very difficult environment that is occasioned by poor choices made by politicians.
Yeah, I think we have the capacity, you know, to develop this country and grow our economy if the enabling environment is created. So we need more of that, and we also encouraged state government across the nation, you know, to create the enabling environment for private businesses, for private sectors, you know, to move, to grow. Because at the end of the day, it is the people and the country that will benefit. So what we are seeing is the consistent effort on the part of the Lagos State government and other stakeholders there, including private sectors, you know, to do business. I think that is the way to go. Before you go to another topic, you mentioned about the Enugu State issue, right, about a few minutes ago. I just came back from Enugu in preparation for our All Editors Conference, and I want to concern that the governor of that state is doing a very good job in terms of infrastructure development. Speak to an average people on the street, they will tell you that Governor Bai is doing very well. I didn't go there to see him. We went there to inspect the hotel that we're going to use for the All Editors Conference. Okay. And from the infrastructures that he's building, I think the man is doing a very good job in Enugu State. So kudos to him. And that is the point I'm trying to make, that if we create the enabling environment, build infrastructure, I'm sure the private sectors will do a very good business in Nigeria and to the benefit of Nigerians and the country as a whole.
All right, we have a leadership newspaper. 2 shutdowns of Port Harcourt refinery in 5 months raise questions. We have the labor, CSOs, experts demand audit accountability, and MPCL must account for turnaround maintenance money. I mean, nothing new here. If you guys want to come in, Charles, experts say we need a technical audit on the state of those refineries. After a technical audit, then what?
Right from the days of President Olusegun Obasanjo, when we had multi-million-dollar turnaround maintenances, and instead of making progress, the refineries were getting worse. It's as if with every turnaround maintenance, the thing actually got a lot worse. And the situation, well, seems to be exacerbated now that the federal government actually deemed it fit to try to revive the refineries. Not just Port Harcourt, remember Warri Refinery as well. So we thought, okay, we have a situation where the expected Dangote monopoly might just be hampered a little bit when the refinery in Port Harcourt and the one in Warri would be running optimally. At the end of the day, the hopes of Nigerians have been dashed. Warri was the first to go. Kaduna never saw the light of the day, and now Port Harcourt shut down twice in 5 months. So what exactly is happening to the funds that were being pumped into reviving that particular refinery? Well, there was a change of leadership in the NNPC, but then we'll have to keep our fingers crossed to see what the new leadership of the NNPC will do as far as the Port Harcourt refinery is concerned. And if we don't see any difference, that means there's a curse somewhere.
Yeah, that's a good one. A lot on their plate, the new leadership that has been approved by President Bola Tinubu. Let's look at other headlines. Vanguard newspaper, anti-Tinubu coalition, Atiku Obi others shop for platform. We have at the top there above the mast, neither Buhari nor Jonathan had Nigeria's interest at heart in 2015, according to former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido. We also have at the bottom, Osun governor poll, we won't align with anyone, Aregbesola. We know that Aregbesola has been a loggerheads with President Bola Tinubu. Anyway, let's move on to the Abuja Inquirer. We have this morning Abuja Inquirer, yes. Again, PDP crisis deepens as Wike declares all-out war. We have more students score above 300 in JAMB receipt. Then at the top, teachers strike, the unfolding tragedy in FCT's public education system. Daily Trust this morning, coalition, Atiku Obi meet Northern Group. 30 killed in Taraba communal clash. Questions over Port Harcourt refinery shut down after $1.5 billion rehabilitation. Onto the international headlines. Daily Graphic, visa scam rocks embassy in US. Staff create fraudulent account. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Ghana has recalled all the staff at the Washington, D.C. mission with immediate effect over alleged fraudulent activities. Some staff have been asked to go, and then they allegedly created parallel accounts to collect visa fees and other services fees as well. I mean, Yolanda, at least the government is taking action, but the audacity of creating another account to divert government funds.
Really, the audacity. And I think there's 2 ways to look at this. First of all, at the end of the day, these are individuals. People will do what they want to do. And you'd have to hold the individuals accountable. But unfortunately, at the same time, this has got to do with the diplomatic relations of Ghana. So the country is going to be looked at, with a microscope, that what are they doing about this? Yes, it's a good move that they recalled all their staff. I hope that not everybody is affected, and those who are, guilty of diverting these funds are brought to book, and that, I'm sure Washington is going to receive a new set of Ghanaian diplomats in the near future.
Yeah, all right. Citizen newspaper, Starlink BEE row. Parliament has summoned Communications Minister Soli Matase over a policy direction to release or relax a broad-based black empowerment requirement for licensing satellite services, including Elon Musk Starlinks. The proposal to ease requirements has been met with criticism from opposition parties, and they say Musk should not operate in South Africa without adherence to laws. I mean, you can't blame the critics, can you? This policy shift is happening almost immediately after President Cyril Ramaphosa's visit to the U.S. We know, Musk had that run-in with them before that visit, claiming they didn't want him to invest in South Africa. Anyone can jump in here. Charles, Dr. Owogaren, if you want to make a comment.
South African politics and economy sometimes could be a model for, Africa. I mean, they are thriving, so to say. But then at this point, especially when it comes to the local intricacies, it's actually very, very difficult to understand now. But whatever the case might be, I just hope that the state of affairs will definitely not impede on whatever progress the talks in the United States were able to achieve.
Yes.
I mean, Yolanda, the point was, okay, yes, they want investment in the country. However, they shouldn't be shifting the goalposts, particularly for Elon Musk or anybody. It's a country, it's South Africa, so you should obey their laws. That's what they're actually arguing.
Very much agreed, but this headline implies that there's something below the surface. There's a part of this that we may not be privy to and may not know, because they're so stringent in sticking to this no to Starlink, and I'm hoping that more of the story will unfold, more details will come out, because there's definitely something below the surface.
All right, on to a Daily Mirror. Zelensky fury at America. Trump's silence did this. President Volodymyr Zelensky's anger came as Russia launched the heaviest air raid at Ukraine since the war started. 69 missiles and 298 drones launched at Ukraine. Dr. Owogaren, apparently Trump's intervention is not slowing down President Putin here. It looks like he's having the upper hand, one we thought that it was going to turn around.
Yeah, I think political analysts in U.S. warned Donald Trump, when he was trying to talk to Putin over this crisis in Ukraine. They warned him that if he's unable to persuade Putin to, slow down in his in the fight against Ukraine, it will actually dent his reputations in the global community, and that is coming out now. It appears that. The long conversation around that area, to stop the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia has not been able to achieve anything. And Donald Trump promised, even during his campaign, that if he's elected as the president of America, that he will switch off that war within a few days. Unfortunately, that is not coming. It's not achieving his aim, and it shows that there's something we are not being told about what is happening. And I hope that very soon, so many countries will have to put pressure on both countries to stop these killings, as a result of the war. It's senseless, and it doesn't make sense to the global community.
All right, easier said than done. Now, finally, to iNewspaper, can Farage really become the PM? Some seem to believe that it's feasible for Reform UK to take 10 Downing Street by 2029. Others say this is a tall order. Whichever side of the divide you are on, Reform UK has unmistakably become the topic after celebrating huge gains during the last local elections, hasn't it? I mean, they are doing so well. I think that Labour is now having to chase after them. But that's all that we can, offer you today on the paper review. Dr. Owogaren, editor Nation's Capital of This Day newspaper. Once again, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And thank you, Dr. Constance, for leading today's newspaper review as well. So that's all we have time for here on Daybreak. I'm Charles Erukai. It's goodbye from me.
And I'm Yolanda Robert. Please do keep it here on Arise News. The morning show is next. Goodbye.